Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and I'm a trained government remote viewer, also trained and used for interspecies communication by the US government when I was a child. I have a degree in political science. I opened and ran a business for 30 years that is still running very successfully today, even though it was taken over by somebody else who's much better at business than I am. So I'm not a flake. I like things that are long term. I'm a Cancer astrologically, and we're called the mother of the zodiac, and we're all about everybody being okay, and we can be a pain in the neck, very neurotic, and going on and on and on because we're a water sign, and water signs go on and on and on. Earth signs anchor things, and air signs get real creative, and fire signs give vitality. So it's important that when you put together a team, this multidimensional information is at your fingertips. So when you interview somebody, you know what their astrological is, their astrological sign. You will know that when they were born, they were packed with a programming set in place, but also in receive mode from the planets, minute to minute, every day, all their life, of information that might be helpful for you to know so that your team is balanced. It's a lack of balance that creates all the illnesses on the planet, whether they're emotional, mental, spiritual. But we're in very exciting times. What can I tell you? Yesterday, I went together with my team, the Mantrista movement, which, by the way, there is a government controlled remote viewer who presents as a shaman and whose job it is to take over my Mantrista movement, which is not going to happen because his intentions are different, or to take it down. I tried mind controlling me and also mind controlling my followers. So I let them know yesterday that if I find that they're following these particular people, I don't want them in my group. I don't care that they don't buy into what it is that I am selling, which is information. It's a transference, like it's a heaviness. They create a heaviness. You can't have people like that around. It's not what they say, what they do. It's about their energetic signature and the weight of their energy. So, anyway, so the chat last night was about what are those three, four, five? I don't think it's up to five. I think it's up to four, three green things that are coming towards the planet. So we went ahead and checked what it was as a group. And I don't do all the work at all, even though if I see there's a few of them going off in the wrong direction because they're not really remote viewing, they have thoughts and opinions. And then I'll pull them off and give a piece of information that I do see and then kind of get them headed in the right direction. But bottom line of those objects that are on their way here is that basically a spaceship. But then I went ahead and I asked the dolphins, I said, what do we need to know about this? And I got really, really, really happy with the answer. And darn, if that little document is not up for me to read to you what they say, which is the reason for the post that I'm sitting in front of. This is what the dolphins had to say. I asked them. Now, mind you, the dolphins were considered gods by the Greeks that gave us Aristotle and Plato. Those Greeks considered the dolphins, the animal, to be gods. And they are my masters, my friends, my helpers. So here's what they said last night at around 6:30, 7 o'clock. I said, what do we need to know about those green objects headed here? And their answer was, oh my God, they're good. There will be a worldwide awakening to different types of beings. Don't be surprised, they continued, at anything, including if they do your housekeeping. What? Dolphins have a sense of humor. Humans will need to get used to interacting with machines, they continued. And I said, well, what do we do? And they said, anchor earth energy That's in the Lord's Prayer. The Lord's Prayer, it doesn't say deliver us from evil. It says help us to be in the present, which means you have enough of the element of earth. So anchor earth's energy. Don't disassociate, which in the Lord's Prayer, that's when evil comes in. Pay attention to kids and their dreams. That was the message from the gods that are poured into the physical body of dolphins, having to do with what is headed towards Earth. And then I laughed because that statement, don't be surprised at anything, including if they do your housekeeping. I remembered Elon and his robots. Here we go. There he is with the robots that can clean your house. Optimus. My God, Elon. I saw a quote from Tesla yesterday when he was saying to somebody kind of at the end of his life, all I get are insults, people hating me and accusing me of things. Yeah, you have a lot in common with him. Well, it kind of is like my entire life, including in these last several years, that there was a group that wanted to have me institutionalized, declared crazy. A lot of it had to do with an inheritance. And a lot of it had to do with I was talking too much about the Cuban cartel, which the Vatican controls. The Vatican Cartel controls the Cuban cartel since the Bay of Pigs, 1960s. Yes, I'm old. So, Elon, honestly, Trump, listen up. You're going to have to greet these people at some point. I mean, the truth of the matter is, you're the most important person on the planet today. Wow, I just realized that. You're the most important person on the planet. I know that Maria Corina won the Peace Prize, and I think that's great because it anchors my intentions that there be nonviolent, institutionalized change of governments. This is good. But honestly, you're the most important person on the planet. So when you put together a team to meet with these things that are in the green machines that are on their way here, you have to have Elon there. I already know. People are going to say, you're setting him up for business. Excuse me. He was doing robots before they showed up. They're not going to remember that. But you know what? The old fuddy duddies and the people that we are not going to be able to pay attention to them. Is there an off button? No. But let's remember the date in which Elon presented his Optimus robots. But I think that instead of doing what the Nazis did, and instead of doing, I'm going to say it, what Schumer and his group have done, which is to work with the ETs to control people with bad intentions, you have somebody there with good intentions, which would be Elon, who also knows technology. So that the whole thing that the Nazis did, I don't think Schumer did the technology thing. I have no idea. The whole thing, I think he did the mind control thing together with Adam Schiff. And if I'm wrong, send me a lawsuit. What the hell? What else is no? Well, actually, no. I only had one lawsuit in my life, which I instituted against someone else, and I won, which means I have a great pattern for lawsuits. So, the Nazis worked with ETs, the bad galactics, to create technology. And then, war over, because the galactics pulled the rug out from under them, and everybody else, Britain, Russia, the United States, went in and took over and continued all of that. Operation Paperclip, a book. Read it if you want, but it was to deviate attention away from certain people. Just know that. It's not the Bible on what the Nazis did with the help of the ETs. So you have to have a committee, and that committee has to include Elon, because if it doesn't make any sense. What the hell do we care what people are going to say? Just document the day in which he did the presentation of his robots. And then just as a flag, the people say, you're setting up Elon. Setting him up, he makes more money than everybody else. What's the setup? You're setting him up to work more? So we're going to, but have that ready. Understand that. Have that ready. Thank you, Elon. Again. Okay, I'm making a list of the cartels. So you got the Mexican cartels that cut people's heads off. Okay. Then you have the Cuban cartel, which I used to call the Cuban mafia. We got to do definition of terms here. And they were the mercenaries of people in Washington. A lot of power. They do still tons of black magic. You need to know. The Mexican cartels also do tons of black magic. They're able to go across the planet and hire people in Africa, in Haiti. Okay. The Vatican is this eyebrow. If you look at my videos in this chat rather than on the podcast, you'll see that my left eyebrow, if you could see it, and I brushed it nicely, it's like crazy. The Vatican is working for me not to remember. But now today I realize not to remember what? Is there other stuff I'm not remembering that they don't want me to remember? Probably. So we got the Vatican Cartel, and they do satanic rituals, which is how I ran into their bad behavior several weeks ago. Yes, that's my phone ringing. It's probably somebody that wants me to quit chatting, quit doing this because I don't take phone calls. So the only reason I know that they do satanic rituals is because they, and all of you know this already if you have followed me on this podcast chat, Francis Fox News from Other Dimensions. Somebody was doing a ritual on me, and I went ahead. I was going to clear it, and I can usually see something, and I saw that I was in a morgue. I wasn't in a morgue. What I saw, the rituals being done in a morgue. They had cut open the body, top to bottom, of a dead person. And they were inserting pictures of me upside down, vertical. And the doctor that was doing it I could tell he was like mind controlled. And that morgue is in it's the largest Catholic hospital in Miami, by the water near Grove Isle. And so I decided to use that. It's obviously a satanic ritual, which is what I do with my followers. I take them places. I have the power of induction, according to the US military. And when you're near me, I can take you places or make it easier for you to get there. You also have to be willing to get there. I'm talking other dimensions. So that night I set up a chat and I said, listen, if you want to look at something really interesting, because the most that we've learned about teaching you white magic and teaching my group white magic is through what they know how to do in black magic, unfortunately. So I set up the chat and we go in, and it turns out that morgue in that hospital by the water near Grove Island, Miami, Catholic hospital, has refrigerators full of organs that are used for rituals. Like yesterday on X, somebody said that somebody had, I don't remember what body part or whatever, and I don't remember what they were using it for. And I put a comment there that I had a housekeeper that had a male penis, real one, that she used to do black magic. Now, why would she share that to me? First place, she told me she knew of someone, and I could tell from her face that it was her. And I guess she thought it might be acceptable. She had just started with me, and I'm a psychic, and then a lot of people assume that psychics work with the devil and all the rest of that. It was horrifying. So the whole thing of having organs in a refrigerator in a morgue is horrifying. But if you know about black magic, then it's like information. And in going back to this ritual that was being done on me from the Cuban cartel, we were like 200 and some people trying to remote view, learning how to remote view that situation. The Vatican was involved. So then we ended up going to the Vatican and going to all those things that are in the subspace in the Vatican. They do a lot of rituals, a lot of dark stuff. So the Vatican continues to work on me. I don't feel it as much, not quite as diligently, but what they want to do is erase my memory. Interesting. Then we have the medical. Okay, so the Vatican, the Mexican cartel, everybody knows is into the most god awful black magic. The Cuban Vatican's cartel are absolutely into the worst that exists, and the team leader and the best of that was my handler. Okay, I think he's still alive. Then we have the Vatican, so now we know they do satanic rituals. The Vatican cartel, and now we have the medical cartel, which I used to call the medical mafia, and a couple of other people called them that, but I did this from a long time ago. I would have to do stuff and not say certain words like healing so that the medical mafia wouldn't go after me. Well, the medical cartel, we're going to find out that they do satanic rituals also. I don't have that information, but the chances of them not doing it to stop their enemies, probably close to zilch and nil. Okay, so Trump. So now I have part of your team that I'm suggesting. It really doesn't make any sense not to have Elon on that team. It doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, if you put military on that team, you're going to be setting a pattern. Military is U.S. military is the reason we were called the ugly Americans. It's a reason for that. How many wars that our military started? It's the reason why people rise up in their countries and want to liberate their countries, and then they get taken down. Either they kill them, or black magic, or they do a smear campaign. You can't have the military there. You want to be You want to win the biggest award for peace on the planet? Have the guts to not have any military people on the committee that works with these machines that are coming in from outer space. Those green things. Now, I don't know that they're all machines, but what the message from the Dolphins was, there will be a worldwide awakening to different types of beings. Don't be surprised at anything, including if they do your housekeeping. Humans will need to get used to interacting with machines. Does that mean they're all going to be machines? I don't know. But it doesn't really matter. Don't have any military people there. Because built in to them is the intention to keep everybody safe. What does that mean? That there's an assumption that the opposite person, the opposite committee, the opposite country may be doing stuff that will make us unsafe. And there goes, you cannot have a bully without a victim. And if you were trained from childhood to be a victim, you are going to be producing bullies around you throughout your life. An example, because this is so important that we understand this. You have a woman whose husband beats her. Finally, she leaves the guy. My God, she got away from him. How god awful. And then she gets married again. He's such a nice guy. 5 years later, he's beating her. He never did that before in his life. He didn't have that energy. What bad luck. This guy beats her too? No, it's not luck. It's the law of karma. It's part of the laws that you need to understand to be able to make good decisions. Not you, I'm talking generically, everybody. So if you put military there, you're going to have military on the team opposing. I don't think you should put military there. I am very opinionated, but it's based on information that most people don't have. And my intention is that this, contrary to what so many people predict, that these encounters, which are not a first, but it will be a first having to do with worldwide, everybody involved, everybody knowing it. What was that statement? What do we need to know about these green objects headed here? There will be a worldwide awakening to different types of beings. So this will be a first. So let's make it a first that there is no opposition, that there is a community, a working together. We've become a part of the galactic community. Next, let me finish with that. How are you going to prepare the public after they show up? Not a good idea. But this whole thing with Elon and the Optimus robots is a good place to start. Oh, Trump is going to be promoting Elon. He's going to make more money. He's just trying to butter up Elon for what? You already have everything, Trump. I actually know somebody who works at Univision, who decades ago we had lunch at a place called California Pizza here in Miami. It doesn't exist anymore. And she said to me, she knew, obviously I was a psychic. She said, Tell me something about me." And I looked at her and I went, "You're a machine." And she said, "What?" I said, and she said, "Well, what?" I said, "You're a machine." Now, I have never said that to anybody, ever said that to anybody. She looks like you and me, an attractive woman, very bright, very hardworking. But at the deepest level, she's a machine. So we're going to have some machines coming our way. Am I suggesting you put her on this committee? No. She's a devout Christian. It's not going to work. What I'm suggesting is that you widen your lens. And maybe there's more like her that are machines. And years later, she asked me, "Did you ever get any more information?" I said, "No, I didn't. I think I'm going to start looking for more information. Not on her, but on people that are like her, that are machines that look like us." I love the way Elon is looking over my right shoulder. Right shoulder channels the energy of the earth energy, which is grounding and landed, which is what he's doing. He's grounding and landing stuff that's future, but he's doing it now. So all of us that are like, "I don't know if I want one of those in my house. What are you, crazy?" Hmm. What are we going to do about that, by the way? Because your spirit is not physical. And you can attach a bad spirit to those robots, but you can attach a bad spirit to an object for a ritual, and you can attach a bad spirit to that very interesting wooden statue that I have that's 2,000 years old, that was part of a burial, and when the important person died in Peru, they killed one of the soldiers, whatever, and attached the spirit to the statue and buried it with him so that he would have his protection. I think I read the other day that they finally found out the god awful truth about the terracotta army that the Chinese found, where there were hundreds, I don't know if thousands of terracotta soldiers. And when I read it, I said, yeah, they killed somebody and attached it to that statue, and then they do have an army. So you can do that with robots. Now, whose fault is that? It's nobody's fault. It's simply information. Got it? So, Elon, if you ever set up a department to try to figure out how do we make sure that people don't use your robots to attach human spirits to, give me a call. But don't call me because I don't pick up the phone. Don't send me an email either, because Google or GoDaddy, they control my email. So I have no idea how you're going to contact me. Actually, I don't have any idea how anybody's going to contact me. But you can figure it out. And because I do believe, I'm thinking about it now, there needs to be a process, rituals to ensure the sacredness of everything, the sacredness of your home, maybe the sacredness of robots. I got to figure out the God. Which God is that? Oh, Trump. The God that you need to investigate, that you're like this with, is Ptah, Ptah. And he's the God that's on the Academy Awards statue. And he's the God, I think, of order. He's like above all everybody else. And I don't know anything about him. He's one of my acquaintances' best favorite God, but I think that's a God that you might have something in common with. Um, but maybe, remember, you're supposed to widen your lens when you're listening to my chats or my podcast. So stop shutting down. Whoever it is that I can feel shutting down already, stop it. You don't have to do anything I say, but you should listen. Maybe there's a God that the protection of that God can be invoked. I'm not sure, but I have to say, we need to not dilly dally. Is that the way you say it? Yeah. I have a little note here. My master said, don't dilly dally about all your stuff. What does that mean for those of you that are younger than me, which is basically everybody? Don't be a slowpoke. Let's get it done now. There's got to be a way, and I'm sure that there is now that I say it. Even a part of the program could be frequencies that are incompatible. Oh, I just figured it out. Within the robot, there has to be, to where nobody could access it, a frequency that creates the frequency of sacred, which I think is a frequency of 33. I'm not sure. Somebody has to look that up. Really interesting. So then we can take, everything has a frequency. Not everything has a physical manifestation, but it has a frequency. Huh. Oh, multi-dimensional recommendation for those of you that can widen your lens. We put out this cannabis 10-hour frog sensory video. It's great. Everybody relaxes. It's great. But we have to change the name to Cannabis PM. Because if you have it on all day long, morning, noon, and night, and then you sleep with it at night, you can end up with a depression. Because you don't have enough vitality running through you, because we were too busy reducing your anxiety and your fire. So the elements get unbalanced. We put down the fire and too much. So we are now in production for this cannabis video, which is here, for Cannabis AM, which means you can play it all during the day at work, and it will reduce the fire, but it will have frequencies that stimulate so that you don't end up becoming a couch potato, which is what all the parents don't want their kids to be couch potatoes, smoking all day long. We don't want that either. We're supposed to be balanced. So that's my recommendation. You use this. Do not use it morning, noon, and night for more than several days. You can use it for several days, morning, noon, and night, to reduce the fire in your work environment, in your home, in your kid's room. Okay. But then, and I couldn't find it, and I suspect that the spirits did not want me to, but I produced a sensory therapy music video that has the Schumann frequency, which is the frequency of the heart of the planet Earth. And our heart aligns with it. And I think I have pneumonia. So I figured I need to work on my heart. Broken heart makes sense. My kids, my family, my friends, nothing. Zero. I'm here by myself and my dog for over a year. Got it? So when I found it, yesterday I said, why do we call this planet Earth? Earth is Earth. Why do we call it Earth? And in the Lord's Prayer, it says, make sure you have enough for the earth element, and then you don't have to ask us for protection from evil. So maybe that frequency, the Schumann frequency, can be a tremendous protection from what might be ETs that are questionable, or maybe it will just keep us strong so that we can hold our ground when we're meeting with them. And I'm not talking about the initial meeting, because that's you, Trump, and Elon. Okay? Maybe the second meeting can be with Elon. You know what? No. Who are you going to put in the first meeting? Who are you going to put in the first meeting? If they are machines, which that I trust the dolphins. It's only been 40 years that I've been listening to them, not trusting them, and then watching the stuff come in, and they've been right. So, anyway, so frequencies. So, we need to have people understand frequencies and use it for protection. And maybe the Schumann frequency, which has changed, maybe that's going to be a big part of the protection. And maybe that's a frequency that can also be in those robots, Elon. Don't know, but we can ask the dolphins. Okay. So I have here where Trump is taking down the bad guys, which allowed for Venezuela to be able to fulfill their intention of a peaceful transition to the duly elected government. I mean, dictator hasn't left yet, but that's loose ends on the physical dimension. In the other dimensions, it's a done deal, but there was protection. Thank you, Trump. Because I was heavily involved in that intention. So you got all the bad guys, they're kind of identified, and there's not so much complaining from the fuddy-duddies or the nice people that don't really believe there could be that much evil. So now what are we going to do about the future? Which basically, from what I understand, is the end of this month, that those green objects are going to get here. So I'm going to leave you with that. So I'm Francis Fox. I'm a remote viewer. I'm kind of happy we're coming into a time that I'm more compatible with. I guess since I was born, I was thrown into the future or being prepared for the future, which didn't make me real compatible with the present. Maybe that's why. No, the reason they wanted me declared mentally ill was a plan that the FBI paid for because I'm considered a rogue agent because they own me. So they had this plan that they set up so that I would be considered mentally ill. I really have not let that hit me because they involved everybody, including my family, in getting people to understand. And they filed false police reports, me being reported to the police. What, for doing too many mantras? Anyway, that is getting dealt with now. But Elon, I think I will need some powerful attorneys if you could recommend, because I'm going to be going after a lot of people. Because even though it's like, okay, guys, it's over. Fine. You did your karma part. You did what you were supposed to do. And I was supposed to be the opposite. That's fine. But on the physical dimension, there has to be, you have to complete something. And you can't just let yourself be hit and forgive, because it doesn't work. Because those people have to pay a consequence. And that's a ton of people who are going to have to sell their homes and deliver the money to me. And by the way, my handler, Rene de Villegas, I think is operational still. And his family, you need to be selling everything. Make sure the property that I want, that's his, is paid off, and you need to sign it over to me, not anybody else. I'm not making progress on the tantric monks, but the truth of the matter, the truth of the matter is, I'm not going to buy a monastery, but I am trying to find out, because the monk that I want, the Rinpoche, has his own monastery. For all I know, it's just 6 monks. I have no idea. For all I know, it's just underneath a tree. I have no idea. But I am going to find out, and I'm going to fund the needs of that monastery and point them in the direction of Washington, D.C., and a little bit of it to the property from Rene de Villegas, which is a portal which he opened. When I decide I want to do something, I get it done. And I have not gotten this done yet. But if I have to get creative, I'll get creative. So if I can't get them over here, the truth of the matter is they don't have to be over here. But anyway, the next time we speak, and I won't have that many days in between, I want to tell you what happened when we went to Jerusalem. You know what? I'm going to tell you right now what the hell. When Trump went to the Mideast, oh, he's going to be murdered over there. No, no, he's not. But I checked. Um, so we went over there, and everybody said the same thing, that Benjamin was not going to be happy, and that he was trying to get Trump to sign a paper, and like, oh, here, sign this little paper, and Trump was like, no, just throw it away. And so I said, you know what? This is a little bit boring. Why don't we go look at the portal that is over Jerusalem? The center of that portal was 10 blocks north of the center of Jerusalem. So we went up there. That portal is the largest portal, or was the original portal on planet Earth, which means you have galactic forces plus Earth energies. So you can have everything gets magical in terms of proportions. So you can have big religions. The three biggest religions on the planet started there, but also the biggest wars. And the prediction has always been that the planet will end because of a war right there in Jerusalem. So I said, well, the portal is a hole. And I thought, should we do this? And so I asked the Dolphins whether do we close this portal? I mean, like that changes history. Yeah, go ahead. So we did. We'll see what happens. Interesting. Thank you for listening. So we are here to teach you white magic. Yes. And we're also here now. We have to add to that. We're here to figure out how not to have machines be used against us. And that could get really interesting. Okay? We are in a totally new world. If you don't widen your lens, you're just going to be, you're going to have to put yourself to sleep mentally. Like you become like a little robot and you're functioning, but not really thinking. But that's where in the Lord's Prayer it says, deliver us from evil, which is not what it said in Aramaic. In Aramaic, it says, help us to be in the present, which means not disassociated. So the people on planet Earth are going to either disassociate and there will be more evil, or they're going to be very grounded. And then we still have issues because we haven't educated the public. I think I need to stop talking only because I've been talking for almost 40 minutes. I have a lot more to say, but we'll meet again. Okay? Thank you for listening. Bye.